Retired elderly. 3 things not to follow, 3 guests not to keep, 3 children not to support. Throughout life, it is essential to be yourself and manage your own words and actions wisely. When we grow old, we must not think that just because we are retired and have enough money, we should be overly generous. Instead, we should learn to restrain our generosity, avoid unnecessary spending, and steer clear of unwholesome social groups. By saving our money, we can have the confidence to enjoy our retirement with peace of mind, keeping life under control. When dealing with people, it's okay to be a little indifferent. Those you don't wish to engage with will naturally drift away. Specifically, there are a few important areas to focus on. 1. 3 types of gifts not to give. Avoid encouraging bad habits. The ancients said, without learning proper manners, one cannot establish oneself. Living in a society that values etiquette, we must learn how to practice it. The act of giving gifts is one of the most common forms of etiquette. Many older people believe that since they didn't have much time for socializing when they were younger, retirement is the time to make up for that by visiting old friends. A generous retiree, once the holidays roll around, may find themselves constantly giving gifts, attending weddings, funerals, and other gatherings every month. Former colleagues, clients, classmates, friends, relatives, and even old neighbors form a massive social group, with hundreds of people. Their children's weddings, their own celebrations, everyone invites you, and the expense can quickly get out of hand. In reality, all the eating, drinking, and socializing are often rooted in unhealthy habits, and there's no need to participate in these gatherings. Here are 3 specific kinds of gift giving to avoid. Gifts with a focus on gaining money. Some hosts invite a large number of acquaintances solely to receive generous cash gifts, which is a form of greed. Once they get the money, their return gifts are often meager, or they disappear altogether. Gifts for distant acquaintances. If you barely know someone, why bother sending a gift? For relatives or friends who live far away and with whom you have little connection, there's no point in exhausting yourself by attending their events. Gifts for those you have grudges with. Some people look down on you or have hurt you in the past, but you continue to give gifts out of obligation. Why put yourself through the stress of dealing with them? At its core, gift giving should be about helping those in need or strengthening meaningful relationships. If neither is the case, it's best to refrain. 2. 3 types of guests not to keep. Avoid unnecessary trouble. Many working people dread hosting guests, especially those living in cities, where work schedules are demanding. But once retired, some may think they have more time to host family gatherings or visit relatives in the countryside for a few days. While these interactions can make life lively, they can also bring unwanted trouble. Take my neighbor, Grandma Lou, as an example. After retiring, her nephew came to visit with his son, leaving the boy in her care because her home was near a good school. He gave her 1,000 yuan a month for living expenses. After a few months, Grandma Lou regretted it. Her great-nephew was mischievous and lazy, with poor grades. If he didn't improve, she feared losing face. On top of that, the boy complained to relatives about the food, as if she was pocketing part of the living allowance. Grandma Lou's life had to revolve around the boy's schedule, leaving her feeling frustrated and trapped. When it comes to hosting guests, unless they are your own children or grandchildren, it's better to keep it simple. Let casual friends and relatives join you for a meal at a restaurant, rather than staying in your home. Specifically, don't host long-term guests. They will disrupt your routine and peace. Don't host unfamiliar guests. They may be hiding something or seeking to take advantage. Don't host guests who always talk about money. These people are likely calculating, looking to borrow or take advantage of your generosity. After retirement, the best way to live is simply sharing quiet meals with your spouse. And if you wish to have fewer guests, it's wise not to visit others too frequently either. 3. 3 types of children not to support. Don't enable laziness. I have a relative who, in his 30s, spends most of his time taking care of grandpa, a retired government official with a pension of 7,000 to 8,000 yuan a month. My relative lives a carefree life thanks to his grandfather's support, but what will happen when his grandfather passes away? How will he survive? Ultimately, everyone must rely on themselves. As a retired person, urging your children and grandchildren to be independent may seem harsh, but it is for their long-term benefit. Specifically, stop supporting lazy grandchildren. Without financial support, they will be forced to find a way to support themselves, even if it means taking a job. Don't interfere in the lives of married children. They have their own families to run and should learn to manage without your help. Ignore requests for risky investments. Some grandchildren constantly talk about starting businesses but show no results. Often, they just want financial backing from you. Children and grandchildren must create their own fortunes. You shouldn't exhaust yourself for their sake. The money you've saved in retirement is hard-earned and should be used for your comfort. If you give it all away, you risk impoverishing yourself while fostering dependence in your descendants. Conclusion. There's an old saying, if the elders do not pass on their wisdom, the young will lose their way. As retired seniors, we should share our life experiences with our children and grandchildren, encouraging them to work hard and find their own paths. At the same time, in social interactions, choose relationships that genuinely add value to your life, rather than surrounding yourself with too many people. In the end, as we grow older, we should live for ourselves, enjoying the fruits of our labor and the peace of a well-lived life.